Hi, everybody. Richard Morin here, and welcome to AZ Central Sports Roundtable. I'm joined here by Jeff Metcalfe and Greg Moore, talking about the 2020 Olympic Summer Games, the Tokyo Games. And Jeff, I want to get to you first because we have some official word now from the Olympic Committee. What can you tell us about the latest developments in whether or not these Olympics are going to be played this year?
Hi, Rick. How you doing? And Greg, how are you? So the games have now been officially postponed, as pretty much was inevitable. Maybe it took a little bit longer than people thought it was going to, but they've come to the point where they've now announced officially that the 2020 games will be postponed and held no later than the summer of 2021.
I mean, that announcement right there just kind of cuts deep. I mean, really very infrequently have we seen developments like this. And as we all know, tons and tons of sports are being canceled or the seasons are being suspended. Greg, can you kind of speak to the significance of this specific postponement as it relates to the sports world? What kind of impact is this going to have?
Listen, it's going to have a smart impact. I'm hopeful that this gets people really in mind of what should be the focus. We're hearing lots of people talk about lots of things when it comes to coronavirus and preventing the spread of COVID-19, but the focus ought to be on preventing it from hitting huge. So we're seeing states across the U.S. enact various types of lockdowns. You can't go out for this, you can go out for that. We're seeing other countries, India just locked down 1.3 billion people. And again, sometimes it takes for things to happen to make people understand it. Mm-hmm. If you delay the Olympics, which you should have done, then maybe people understand what the best practices are and what the focus ought to be right now.
Jeff, when in past history have we seen postponements or cancellations like this? And I guess when we talk about perspective and the kind of impact that the coronavirus outbreak is having on not only the sports world, but the world in general, can you put that into perspective for us? I mean, when else have we seen something of this magnitude?
Well, the rarity of it is basically that there have been no summer game cancellations other than for the two world wars. So there was an Olympics canceled in 1916, and there were two Summer Olympics canceled in 40, which was supposed to be in Tokyo, and 44. Since then, we've had boycotts for various things, including 1980 when the U.S. didn't go to Moscow. Mm-hmm. And, obviously a lot of athletes were affected by that and have a big hole in their lives because of that. But as far as like an outright cancellation, those were the three summer games. And then there's really never been anything like a postponement. So you're talking about something with 11,000 athletes, 33 sports, 150 or more countries, trying to pull all the logistics of this together, in this case, Tokyo being the host site. There's a lot of things a lot of balls that are in the air that have to be dealt with. Next summer, for example, they're supposed to have the World Swimming Championships and the World Track Championships in Eugene. So by moving the Olympics to 2021, that's just an example of some of the things that are going to be impacted. And you're talking about every country, you're talking about all the contracts, everything that has to do with television, sponsors, everything has to be rearranged as far as reservations in Tokyo. There's a lot involved. And that's kind of why I think the IOC is what might be perceived as dragging their feet on it. But really, when you think about it, the NCAA tournament and the spring and winter sports championships cancellation was on March 12th. Yeah. And this is only March 24th. So it feels like it's been a lot longer than it has because all of our days are dragged out now. But really, it hasn't been that long, even since the NCAA pulled the plug on the rest of the college season to get to where we are with the Olympics. Right. And Greg, you can speak to that too. I mean, it does feel like an eternity since Rudy Gobert tested positive and the NBA shut down. That started a domino effect across the sports world. I guess when you look at the developments that are continuing to this day, I mean, how are we all supposed to get through the next few weeks? I mean, there's nothing left.
Well, before I address that, I would like to say that I think this is really neat to see that athletes had such an impact here. We had track and field athletes saying that they didn't want to go. We had gymnastics athletes saying that they didn't want to go. And it took whatever it took.
And whole country, too. Yeah.
I was going to say all of Canada. Canada said they're not going to go. But the people organizing the games and Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, they paid attention, right? They listened to what other people were telling them about what their fears were, what their concerns were. And if you just stop and think about it, as Jeff said, 160 countries, 11,000 athletes, you're all in one place, you're shoulder to shoulder. And Jeff's been to God only knows how many Olympics he's covered. So he knows the quarters of an Olympic village. He knows just how easily things could spread and rattle around. And then that would go back out and make things that much worse for the world. And again, what do I know? I'm just going by the things I'm reading from scientists and what they say. So what can we do? What can we think about? How can we occupy ourselves? We can return to the thing that we love most. We love sports. So let's watch documentaries about the Olympics. Let's tell our kids stories about the greatest athlete we ever saw. Let's put our kids on FaceTime with their grandparents so that granddad can talk about Carl Lewis, and then I can talk about Usain Bolt, and then we can talk about Justin Gatlin or any of these Olympians. We can talk about the first time we ever saw the Dream Team. There's so many different ways that we can remain connected.
Right. It's a time to pause and reflect a little bit. And Greg, that was extremely well said. But just to wrap up, guys, Jeff, I want to ask you about how is this affecting things from an Arizona perspective in the Arizona athletes that were going to participate? Have you talked with any athletes, and what can you tell us about things from an Arizona perspective?
Yes, actually, I've talked to a lot, and kind of just to put it in perspective of the issues that required this postponement. We should be having this very week a international baseball tournament that would include USA Baseball to qualify a team for the Olympics. That's not happening, obviously. There was another tournament after the one that was going to be held here in Surprise in Tempe, which was going to be the final Olympic baseball qualifier. That can't be held until the tournament in Arizona is held. So that just gives you an example of all the issues related to the trials and the qualifying process that really, even if we were in the clear by July, all these other things are getting wiped out and making it impossible to do. But I think the Arizona athletes are in line with everybody else, like Greg mentioned. Bob Bowman even said that the Arizona State swim coach who coached Michael Phelps through his entire Olympic career is, let's give everybody time to take a breath. Don't put them under pressure to be doing things that they don't want to be doing in facilities, in some cases, they aren't even supposed to be in. Right. Bob has been allowed to work with his pro group at Mona Plummer Aquatic Center, but he can't work with his ASU athletes who are trying to go to the Olympic trials because they're not allowed to use that due to university and Pac-12 regulations, restrictions based on the virus. So it's just a very uncomfortable time for athletes to be doing something that, in truth, they don't want to be doing right now. And it gives everybody a break from that. And the one other thing I'll say, and then I'll let you guys finish, is that what Greg was just saying is really true, spinning back and looking backwards. But spin it forward and look ahead to how great this event could be in 2021 as a unifying event for the world. The first International Olympics I went to was in 1992, and I can remember just being awed standing in Barcelona by what the atmosphere was like. And Tokyo is going to be even more amazing when they're actually able to hold it the right way as a celebration of overcoming this virus and bringing the world back together.
And just to piggyback on that, Jeff, I'm thinking about all of the different things that had to get moved around and all the different things that had to get changed, all the stuff you laid out. But won't that create some jobs, right? Like if the economy's in a bad spot, don't you have to hire people to do these administrative things? Don't you have to hire people to handle all of these logistical changes? And you can find opportunity, you can find optimism if you're looking for it. And I think that that's the spirit of the Olympics, which speaks to what Jeff was talking about, just the celebration of where we are versus what we will have overcome in that moment. This could be very special. I wonder if they'll move it to spring so they can take advantage of the cherry blossoms.
Well, one thing I would say is I think the closer they go to the timetable that was planned, the better. Just think about the NBA, for example. If the NBA resumes, plays their season, then starts another season and plays that, before we get to that, you don't really want to have it in the spring and try to do, conflict with that. I think that would be a real issue. Like
Sure.
I would be lobbying for a time frame as close to what the 2020 time frame was supposed to be.
Makes sense to me.